And check that out. There you are. I see you. Hello, hello, hello. And welcome to Let's Paint and Draw Along. I'm here with Don Stevens from
Hello.
DonStephensArt. Hello. Happy
Hello.
Sunday, Don.
Yes, it is a beautiful Sunday. And my
And
phone's
and
gonna be nice, everyone.
yes, and you know what I want to do? Because I'm looking at something very interesting. What's this we're looking at, Don?
You hear my voice, and I'm talking like this gentleman that's in front of you today.
Yes.
This is Mr. J.E.J., as we're calling it, and Mr. James Earl Jones. Yes, everyone. Luke, I am your father.
Can you talk a little about your journey with this piece? And I'm gonna run to grab something because that's going to be the next thing we talk about. So you started this, you're doing portraits,
It
and this is
started a couple days ago, and it was done, because I took a piecemeal. That's all, everyone. You can be patient and wait for Nadine to come back. Yeah. But there is no real journey. The journey is just to do a charcoal drawing to commemorate who? Mr. James Earl Jones. Yes.
yeah.
That's
Woo, my chair's noisy. Um, yeah,
all.
and as I join everyone again, um, you know what's really interesting? I really, again, this is something that you mentioned before. You drew this on not white paper.
Right.
Okay, so I just thought that was just so neat. And I know people do it, and you've been doing it, and you've been showing some of your other works, but I just think it just really pops, especially for people of color. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
well, it doesn't matter because you're not really worrying about the complexion of the person at that point. You're really just worrying about the tonal value and the tonal idea and the atmospheric. That's
Mm-hmm,
the issue. So then in that situation, there is no tonality, there is no complexion, there's only vibration. That's it. So how
mm-hmm,
vibrant is one area over another? How does the flash affect the face? How does
mm-hmm,
lighting affect skin? And you don't really get to the tone. You
mm-hmm.
look past the tone at that point. That's why I do it on colored paper.
Okay.
Because you're trying to even more so stretch the mind away from complexion and look at
Mm-hmm,
the essence of formality, the structure. If I get the structure right, that's that person. If it's not the right complexion, then I ain't got to worry about that because it's not about complexion.
mm-hmm,
If you look at the white and look at the chalk working together, it's all about vibrance. You
mm-hmm,
know, you know that something is round when it. Well, if it's more light on that item coming forward, that's the more light you're going to see. These are the things that people don't really observe. When
mm-hmm.
you're looking around everything, this is where you get the idea that there's no straight lines in nature.
Okay.
So if and what that is, you're just mainly looking at surface quality, surface movement.
Mm-hmm,
And the edge only comes about, it's because you frozen that item in space. So now you can see the edges of it and things like this.
mm-hmm,
Because the body is curved, so then how is it I'm able to see it as an edge, as a line, when the body is always moving? If I do this to my hand, it's always in movement. So the surface and the edge is always changing.
mm-hmm.
So then stop it. You see what I'm saying? It stops at a certain point. Now you have edges that you can form into certain shapes, lines, forms. If I turn it again and stop it. But technically, if I keep moving, that
Mm-hmm.
surface is always in movement. It's always in flux. It
Right.
never stops, in other words. So
Mm-hmm.
then it only stops and becomes a true edge or a true line when you stop it.
And you stop. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, when you stop it, because even when you stop in this realm, you're not, how would you say, really stopping. If I stand in front of you, I'm not really stopping because
Mm-hmm.
everything's in motion around.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Everything's in motion. So then until you really stop everything by taking a picture of that moment or doing a drawing of that moment, you see, or
Mm-hmm.
even doing a photography idea of that moment. That's the only time you're manipulating those edges in your mind. Because when you look at the situation, some of us don't see it as that. They see it as that they're outside edges. But then how do we curve around to a back? That's what Cubism wanted you to take an idea into. Or
Cubit.
Future to look at other dimensions and ideas, meaning that can I see your back and front at the same time? That was a Cubist thought,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and that's another way where you can get to a subjective idea.
Mm-hmm.
But objectively speaking, when we're talking about the tone paper and the portraits that I'm doing, we try to skip past complexion. That's why if I pull out, watch. I'll pull out, let's see here. And it's only because of structure you would say what their nationality is. See? And this is what I try to tell people, like, okay. There's two right here. That's gonna be kind of cool with everybody. All right, I got James Earl Jones there, right? But then here goes Tony Bennett. And then look at how we repassed the idea of nationality. There's
Mm-hmm.
Tony, or rather complexion. See what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Yep.
Though he's Italian or whatever nationality is, from his bone structure,
Mm-hmm.
the lights and darks are what his surfaces told me about him. Not the fact because I mixed, you know, primrose and yellow, you know, and a little bit of titanium white and hit it with some green to get a certain complexion. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do the same thing for James Earl Jones and anybody else I pull out of there. So it stretches you past complexion. That's why I thought everybody would have fun with my Kamala rendition.
Mm-hmm.
Argument, doing it on toned paper is the optimal idea at that point.
Right.
If I do it on toned paper, it gives you that connotation like, oh, wow, you know, that just obliterates. It implies because of paper,
Mm-hmm.
but you know, is that really the intent? Well, why did he do Tony Bennett, you know, Trump and a couple of others, Kennedy and a couple of others after that, Jerry Springer, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Povich. So you see, if you look at the two ideas there, that's the whole idea, is to capture the form, to make you believe that those surfaces are really there and to make it feel like they're about to possibly leap out at you.
Mm-hmm.
Energy is coming from it. You can feel that energy. And a lot of times that comes from the eyes. But what comes from the eyes is the understanding of the surfaces. Why is that teardrop shape there? Well, the teardrop shape of the eye is there is because that's what's coming out forward. The part that curves up and down to start that teardrop shape is really the curve coming up and down of the skin of the lids of the eye, wrapping around the eyeball, protruding out of the eye socket. So in other words, that line would come up and out. The same thing for the lower lid, up and out, down and out, or down and back. And that
Mm-hmm.
gives you that old fish look shape, almond shape.
Mm-hmm.
You see? Why do you
Wow.
see more light? Why do you see more white? Because somebody had asked me, well, on your Kamala rendition, how come her nose has white on it like that? I said, because that's what the flashlight did to her face.
Mm-hmm.
So the flashlight at the angle that I looked at my source material, because I wasn't there to take the picture, at the angle that the person took the picture, that's what happened to the light on the nose. So you take that into consideration and see if you want to blend it in. How's it look? Look fine to me. Made the face vibrate, made everything feel like it was still turning, and the
Mm-hmm.
energy laughed there.
And also, if you just look at me, the way
Yeah,
I
I'm saying
turn,
the light is. That's
yeah,
atmospheric for the room. You
right.
have a light source at up the strongest light source is right above you,
Mm-hmm.
and then
I
you
have
have a
a
light.
backfill. That's the
Yeah,
energy.
but then you have a bounce light. You have some absorbed light, but a lot more bounce light because you're in the kitchen area. You
Mm-hmm.
see, and we see that type of reflection, but the strongest ones is on the top of everything on you. Your
And
nose.
also, I have white paper underneath me. So if you
Yeah,
see
that's
when I
what's giving you
move
the
it,
under. That's what's giving you the under though.
yeah.
If you take that, like when you put your hands there, now that light dims down a little bit underneath your chin. As soon
And
as
you
you
can,
move your hands away, you see, it
and
gets
if I
lighter.
move it away, it's not as bright. And then it fills
Yep.
it.
And if it
It's
was
actually,
a
it's,
the
hmm?
surface, then you get more light flickering up on the face.
Yeah, if I move it up more, you're gonna, it changes. I
Piece
move
of
it to the
aluminum
side.
foil, you know what I mean? If you use a piece of aluminum foil or
Oh
any
yeah, that's
shiny
a nice trick.
like that, it'll flip that light right back up and into your glasses and things like that.
It'll be
But the,
pinging all over the place.
yeah, yeah.
But the
But the main
same thing. You'll see a little bit of white
yeah, because
here,
that's the main light source.
So let's see.
The main light source is right above you, and that's what's telling you about light source and atmospheric light and light in domesticated environments. Like
Right,
people don't study it like that, but if you really go and look, that's how it's talked about.
right.
And then that's when the math start to come into play.
Mm-hmm.
At what angle is that light bulb above Nadine's head? What is her positioning? Then,
Mm-hmm.
okay, the rays of light are able to reach certain aspects of where Nadine is based upon her position to the light source itself, and then how much light is being bounced around the room, and then how much light is all the dark surfaces absorbing, like her shirt and things like this, and other things.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that gets accounted for. So all my photographers, cinematographers, and editors understand what's going on. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
If Nadine wanted to, she possibly could change up the coolness or the warmth in her space if she wanted to by putting a blue filter on to make things
I
cooler,
could.
or to
Mm-hmm.
heighten things up, with like an orange or a yellow filter on to heighten things up.
So
Yeah.
so this is
Yep.
brown. So I have that under there. It does something different. This
Yep.
is
And if you use the yellow to cover, it's going to put up more light.
yep.
Yep. Now
It,
that yellow is going to be reflected in your skin,
yep. It
and all
impacts
that
your skin.
have to be in the mixture of what you would do. But with this idea here, you're not worrying about that. You're worrying about the intensity of lights and darks then at
Mm-hmm.
that point. How light is it at the nose? Then now to make us feel like the nose is going down and away, what's the light telling us about the surface?
Right.
Most people don't look at surface like that. That's why if you look at the foreheads of both of them respectively, you can
There.
tell that I made you feel like it's turning, both
Mm-hmm.
foreheads, based
Mm-hmm.
upon how much vibrance of the light intensity is there, which is the white chalk at that point, and the smudging of the charcoal to get a different value. So
Mm-hmm.
everything, you can say this is an achromatic painting, a colorless color painting, because you're just worrying about, once again, the intensity or the vibrance of the light in the atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Another
And
one way in white chalk drawings, if you take black paper or do a black canvas and just use white to paint
yeah,
on the
that's
surface to control
fun.
the chromatic idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And one of the things that I appreciate so much from our series on something from nothing is that even when we were creating out of whatever, our memory or whatever, you would still say, after we kind of put down our ideas on paper, you would then say, where's your light source coming from? And
Right,
then,
because you have to
and
control all of that. Why do you think that it's either you do or you don't? Then if you're
right,
saying that you're not, then are you going to do that with just line, whatever it
right,
is? You still have to take that in respect.
right. And that adds depth. It adds, it takes it,
It
it,
adds atmosphere, and you want your piece to have atmosphere.
mhm,
So if you
mhm,
want your piece to appear to have some type of atmosphere close to reality, but you're making it up from nothing, your nothing is your experiences. So
mhm,
you would use reality to a certain extent to bring your ideas to life.
mhm,
Now, if you're able to augment them and move them and change the eyes and different positions of the eyes of your character, then you're moving on to another step where you can manipulate the movement of things based upon what you understand about your observations, your experiences. So the something from nothing is still all about, yeah, you may feel as if it comes from nothing, but you have to question what nothing is, because nothing is still something if it was from your experience.
yeah,
And that means even if you just made a little mark, that mark was seen somewhere in your life, somewhere that you're taking into account to put it there.
mhm.
If it didn't, then how did it get there?
How did it
How
get
did
in your
you,
mind's eye?
right, because you had to have had experienced it some type of way. Your subconscious starts to dump things.
Hmm.
So just let it do that. So
Yeah.
if you're talking about subjectivity or existentialism, that's all that is. You bring in things to life. You bring in something from nothing. But the nothing has to be questioned because the nothing is your experience. The
Hmm.
nothing is the atmosphere and space around you.
Hmm.
The matter and all those things that make things physical and feasible in our world is all part of that idea. So that's why I argue with all abstract artists that it's not coming from nowhere. It's coming from somewhere. It's your experiences and how your
It's
subconscious is willing to dump it off to you.
your inspirations. It's what inspires you, gets you excited, and you go home. I
Nadine,
got an
Nadine,
idea.
Nadine, Nadine. To be inspired, you have to have an experience. I'm
Right.
really trying to be serious. To
Yes.
be inspired is the aftermath of having the experience. You
Right.
have to have the experience before
I
you
should
can
have been
even
more clear. Yes. Yes. The walk in a park or driving in a car, or looking up at the sky or whatever.
bills, fighting somebody,
Yeah.
arguing with people. Let's not negate all these other things out. It's all part of an experience.
Right.
Watching
The everyday.
somebody else's experience. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's the everyday. This is the art. This is the art history argument that still happens to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Should artists do things of the everyday?
Mm-hmm.
Should the everyday be the existence or the idea? Does things really come from nothing?
Mm.
This is still an argument. Does it really come from nothing? When you say, oh, no, it just came from my head. Well, where's your head at? That's what I argue with people. Where has your head been? Even when you go to sleep and you traverse and you go different places, you don't go places that's unfamiliar.
Mm-hmm.
You go places that's familiar of some type of way.
Right.
Even if you're flying, but you're seeing familiar stuff when you're flying. Whether you saw it in a movie and you projected that whole movie on your state of being is another question. In order
Mm-hmm.
for you to be in a spaceship, you've never been in a spaceship, but you've seen a spaceship. So now that experience of seeing a spaceship can infiltrate your experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And now with the human mind, you can take that whole experience of just reading about a spaceship and make it into your existence. But then you still have to question, did it come from nothing though?
Mm-hmm.
What is this void of nothingness that everybody wants to be part of? There's no such thing. That's what my argument is. Everything is coming from something. You know what I mean? For every action, there's a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
There is no action and nothing happens.
Mm.
Think about it. Your hand moves, something happened. Blood vessels pumped, your heart pumped the right moment at that moment to be able to make your hand move from left to right.
Mm-hmm.
So something had to occur for something else to happen. Cause and effect, causality. It has to be. So
Yes.
that means that that means that things don't come from nothing, they come from experiences.
Mm-hmm.
That means if I'm looking at polarities and something swings to the left, there's a reason why it's swinging to the left in a certain way, certain trajectory, and moving a certain way, and all this good stuff. It depends
Mm-hmm.
upon how much somebody's going to look into that experience to see why that is.
So true.
Yeah. And that's all the realities that a lot of people, if you listen to people talk, they don't see that
Mm-hmm.
because they caught in really just our interpretation of what this is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just really looking at edges. That's all I'm, how would you say suggestion? Looking
Right.
at those five things: line, shape, form, light, and surface.
Mm-hmm.
Material, everything else comes after that. And it doesn't matter if you want to be subjective. We've been subjective. We've been subjective to the point thus far where it's all recognizable, except for in the beginning when we were doing certain abstracts based upon lines and shapes and just
Mm-hmm.
tonality patterns. You see what I mean?
Right.
You're not. Those are not, how would you say, they're not identifiable at that point. But the
Mm-hmm.
minute that you put an identifiable form in it, but then it has some type of exaggeration to it, then it's still abstract. If it has some type of transformative type of look or mutated type of look, that's still abstracted. It would be called a figurative expressing or a
Mm-hmm.
figurative abstraction. And
Right.
those that would argue that can go look at de Kooning and his work, and Alice Neal, that's another person. And you can look at a whole lot of other Americans. Horace Pippin, you can look at him if you would like. It's too many to look at that use these ideas, and these are all not my ideas. This is what you would study to say what it is art of today. What is
Mm-hmm.
art in general? What is the purpose of art? What is a painting? Why do a painting? Why translate and do James Earl Jones? Why do Tony Bennett? Why? Well, if you look at it, it's about timing. These individuals were prolific and iconic during our times. That means that not only I know about them, there's people that
Mm-hmm.
know about them on every corner of the planet. That's number one status first on why do them. You know what I mean? Number two, they had a glorious, how would you say, polarizing career.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that you look at every 5 years looking at this person in your life.
Right.
Met a bunch to a bunch of people. And then, Mr. James Earl Jones from AT&T to being the snake god in the Red Sonja movie, you know what I mean? To
Mm-hmm.
one of his most iconic ones, which was what? Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
Lord of the dark side.
The dark side.
That's Lord of the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You know what I mean? And then the one that really did it, come on, which one is it?
The one that really did it? I don't know. I just keep going to the Matrix.
I have to go there. Simba. Every day
Oh,
you lay your eyes
yeah,
on
yeah,
something
yeah.
yours. You look towards the sky, Simba. Always remember those kings are here for you,
Yeah.
Simba.
Simba.
Oh man, come on, man. That's an
That,
iconic voice.
yes, absolutely.
He's done wonders, but when he did Mufasa, come on, like he was locked in. You put that movie on now, you're locked in. Like you're like a little kid again. You're listening. You're gonna tear up.
Yeah.
Especially when Mufasa dies and he transitions to the clouds where the kings are and everything else. And oh man, I know every time I see it, I gotta fight back a tear, man. Because the way his voice was. That's why a lot of people tell me, hey Don, and that's why I still look at trying to do voiceovers and I still do little
Wow.
things. One day you may hear me somewhere, everybody. It'll happen. I just gotta be persistent and then find the right nomenclature, you know. But other than that, yeah, the reasonings and the journey of doing this type of series, Nadine, is I still have a hard time talking about, my studio stuff and things like that. But we're in an area where everybody wants a more of a connection. Just
Yeah.
doing the work is not enough
Right.
nowadays. So explaining some type of journey. I would like to say I had a special type of idea or journey with this. No, it's something that I just picked up from college, from understanding art history and what an artist should be doing as a job in
Mhm.
the era that they're in, is depicting that time, space, or place reference during the time they're there, so it can be documented of what happened or what was occurring in the human species while they was there. That's the number one job, I think, of the artist. After
Mhm.
that, then it's to how would you say, educate or connect with others, all this stuff, keep the glue together. Because if you think about it, art is used in everything to bring something to fruition in our world, to
Yes.
get that those cabinets and everything behind you. We talked about that before.
Mhm.
Everything is drawn out. If we go back in time, that's why you had cave paintings, petroglyphs, and all this stuff like this, hieroglyphs and things like
Mhm.
that. You have
Mhm.
different societies all over the world that have used art as the glue to their mentality. You know what
The
I mean? To be
glue.
more, yeah. So we all have to do it. And what do we pull it from? Our experiences of the everyday. Because when you just
Right.
look at the petroglyphs alone and the patterns they was making out of certain animals and the repetition of an animal, and you knew that animal was running. And then the
Mhm.
way they would draw simplified drawings. That's why I bring those up to kids and things when you're doing cartoons and cartouches, which is, you know what I mean, the pharaonic type of writing or Sumeric writing and things like this where you're just using lines and edges, everybody. So you have
Mhm.
to understand that art is everything. It's not just a recreation. It's the total right of your being, basically, at that point. Because if you don't, then how are you expressing yourself if you're not creating? Even when
Right.
you tell a little white lie to somebody over the phone,
For
or
sure.
you're walking down the block and you tell a little white lie and you know something like your husband or somebody is home and somebody asks you, hey, is so and so home? Oh, I don't know. No, I don't think they're home right now. Well, you know that's a little white lie and things like that. So, come on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We just gotta get over it. But anyway, line, shape, form, light, and surface is the whole meaning of the situation. The more observation you use of that you can do, and the more you can break down to use as a idea. I use the idea of charcoal drawing, like we've done throughout history, to do what? To look at the formal situation of things, to bring the
Mhm.
drama out. Anytime you see black and white, or a charcoal drawing, or a painting done in black and white, they're looking for emotional value because it's
Mhm.
just about the form and the forms and the structures and everything else and what you're telling us with the movements of the material at that point. So yeah, it's all about that, to depict something that's there, but then to try to depict a little bit more so you feel a presence. So I've been lucky enough that people say I'm able to capture a certain type of presence in these pieces.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's all about understanding those 5 things that I talk about with you guys. And the more you understand that, the more you can, synergize and energize and delight and intrigue the human eye and the human
Mhm.
species. Because what are we doing the art for? I mean, yeah, you can make a craft or craft a living space for another creature, but can you make a living at that? If the human being is involved in having that creature domesticated, you'll make a living at it.
Mhm.
But is that creature like if you make a conch shell and you give it to a conch, you know what I mean? Will
Mhm.
will they give you some type of riches for that? For supplying them with a domicile? No, it's only going to be if a human being has a farm of doing conch, fish,
Mhm.
and now you bring your makeshift shells there for these individual shell cretins to get inside the shells to reproduce and everything else. Now, yeah, that human being is going to pay you. So still, nonetheless, you're doing your creations in hope that other human beings partake in it and relieve, trade, or give something towards that endeavor.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. Now, if you can get function out of your artwork, like the phones and things like this, then yeah, your
Mhm.
car, yeah, your computer, your mic stand, the light bulb. Think about it. What things cost, why they cost, they cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep, 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 yep. Look like you wanted to say something, Nadine.
I did, and now I'm trying to grab it. But since we're here, I just want to let everybody know y'all are watching. We're glad you're here. Tell us where you are. Are you in Philly? Are you down south like I am? I'm in Virginia right now. Are you in the UK? Or where are you watching this from? I want you to put that in the comment section.
Florida,
But
disaster areas. You know what I mean? From the Helena event.
yes, we want to know. And then the next thing I wanted to tell you, I did not wear my t-shirt today because I'm showing you when my eyes are open, it's on. And this
Yeah.
t-shirt, you can get this t-shirt amongst many other ones that Don has created. And that you would go over to, and we have the link in our description of this video. But it's Don-Stephens-Art dot printify.me, that's me like me, backslash products. You go over there, you can get this t-shirt and a plethora of other things from images that Don or art that Don has created. Okay, so show your support. The holidays are coming up. It's a great way to inspire others to create, not only create, but pass it along to others. So when they wear this, it's going to evoke a conversation. So we appreciate you, and we appreciate Don spending his time sharing, his process, inspiring us to keep creating. And the best way you can do that is reach out to him, take a class. You can take a class. You just reach out to him. You can, if that's what you want to do, that's okay. All right. So the information to get in contact with Don is always in the description. He has a G.Page, which is G.Page / DonStephensArt. Real easy. Go over, see him, and check out some of his other art, like these portraits that he just had up. But remember, t-shirts, you can get the t-shirts off of the Printify link, which I mentioned, and it's also in the description in our video. So thank you. Don has cleaned the board, so we're getting ready to create some art, y'all. It
Yeah,
is
the
so,
book is already ready. I could go to the drawer and pull out artwork for hours. You
I
know what I
know.
mean? Like, if I go to the drawer now, I can pull out a couple of more drawings if you want to talk about that process more. I
Well,
mean,
okay. We have different levels of artists that actually are part of our group. And one of the things, and I agree with you, Don, one of the things that I find so special, and it's something that I haven't found other places unless you're in a mastermind group or something like that, is the nuances of the process of your decisions about um, like making portraitures right now. Um, especially of people that are important to our times. Like what you were saying, like I'm starting to feel it's more important to find a way to document what's going on in the world, in my world, in our world right now. For
that's
me,
what
it's
art is about. Everybody doesn't look at that aspect. That's what art is there for. That's
right.
why you do art. That's
And
why
and
some
you
of us.
and I think it's really interesting and inspiring and exciting is that throughout my observation of the work that I've seen you create, a lot of that is tapping into that. And I think we don't hear enough of that. I don't think that this is something that, well, maybe AI can do it, but right now, based upon how we feel about um, the people that have impacted our lives, we don't want to forget them, you know? And for me, just the photo is one thing, but to see the art, man, oh man, Jerry Springer, Harry Belafonte,
Mhm.
in terms of like culture, I mean, people, it just, it takes you to what they did. Like, you
But
know?
that's why you depict them, because they permeated a certain, whether people like it or not, we all tribal still.
Mm-hmm.
So within the Western or the American tribe, they ascended to a certain level of interest of what you call fame or notoriety or attention.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I put it up, right? And then people say, oh, Jerry Springer. And their nationality happened to be Indian, or they just
Mm-hmm.
so happen to be European of, any Slavic race at that point,
Mm-hmm.
and then any African from any part of the world. And if they can say, "Oh, that's Jerry Springer," then what does that say about Jerry Springer? What did he do?
He had an impact on them in some way, whether his show was crazy. I mean, but he
Yeah,
did a
let's look
lot
at
of
it a
stuff
little bit
before that.
differently. I feel you, but I'm trying to stay away from the sensationalism idea and look at what he actually did as far as human to human idea is
Right.
concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So he was able to do his rhetoric and everything to get what? The whole world to pay attention after he got each region within the United States or the American tribe to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once he got them to pay attention, then who else did he have to get to pay attention? The other side of the bowl, as they say.
Right.
So he took over Maury Povich's spot.
Yeah.
You see? But what does that mean for Harry Belafonte too as well? Well, his attention expanded all the way up until almost until he passed away.
Mm-hmm.
He stayed prolific his whole life. He stayed in somebody in our faces so much that we know who he is. It's not just one group that knows him. The whole idea of the American tribe, all
Mm-hmm.
the regions know of him. He's a nationalist at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Then now you can look at it, he's what? After he gets past that point, then there's only what? International. Well, that
Right.
gentleman had that.
Mm-hmm.
So then, if you look back in time, well, who would get portraits done? Only prolific individuals.
Right.
Only individuals that made an impact that make us all look at the same time to garner and know their name and what they do.
But this has been going on throughout
Forever.
the ages.
It comes from, a lot of different places. Everybody, if I'm a control person, a person that's in control, I sign the checks or I make things move. I think that everything is supposed to depict me. Think about it. All your kings that everybody want to say they're a king, they're a queen. But what did they do?
Mm-hmm.
They would have a artist. Part of their clique would be an artist in there that would do all their portraits.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to any continent you want to go in, and they all have portraits of all the elite people.
I've got so much like content of that very fact there. You go into different areas, places, museums, countries, everywhere. That's what they did. It was on the walls of the churches.
The whole point is you don't get in these places like the way we're saying if you didn't do something prolific,
Mm-hmm.
which means that you did something to permeate the whole human species that we all have to pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody forgets we're doing this for other human beings. We're not doing it for no other species.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're doing these things for human beings, you're trying to get impact. What's going to give you impact? Oh, if I do a portrait of somebody that's known,
Mm-hmm.
sure, I can do portraits of people unknown, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then put an illusion on it, like, hold on, all right, let me go back to the cabinet so we can show that how you would use just an everyday face to try to make a statement. Then. What's that all about?
I remember you did one of a little girl.
Well, yeah, that's the one I'm about to pull out. I got a couple of them like that.
Can
But
you
she's
believe that, y'all? I just called it. But that from my memory, I remembered that.
she's the one that would make me feel that way. And then I have also, all right, yeah, hold on, let me pull her. I got her.
Yeah.
And
And yep. So while he's pulling that up, just in case I put in the chats, let me know if you see it. The link if you want to get any of Don's art that's on merch, you can go over there. You can click actually on the link and it'll take you to Printify where you can purchase it.
That, or you can hit me up directly. I do 11 by 17 prints from the studio, and I'll pay for the postage and handling. So if you
Okay,
don't want to do no digital transaction like that through Printify, I understand everybody's particular and selective. Then we can do Venmo if you want. You make the
right.
Venmo payment, and I will send it to you based upon the billing address, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll pay for shipping.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'll be the same thing for the t-shirts too. I had a lot of people say, well, I don't like doing it online. I said, okay, well then I'll get it wholesale for myself, and then I'll let you know when I get it, and then I'll send it to you, and then you pay for shipping at that point if I have to do it that way. Either which way, nah, I'll still pay for shipping. Yeah. If you get a t-shirt, I'll do it still, you know? But I'm starting to see how people say, oh, I don't want to do nothing digitally. I'm kind of nervous about that. Okay, no problem.
Can
We can
understand
do
that.
that. Yeah.
So also I put in there the link. It's not, let me see if I'm gonna put a better link, but I'm putting it in the chat for you all to make it easy. If you're watching this video and you look at the chat section, I'm gonna go over and get a better link to make it easier for you to navigate to it.
Since you called her out, we'll go here first.
Mhm.
I'll take Jerry out of here.
See.
Yeah, she is there.
Copy, clean link. Let's see.
She is. See? And that's just a little girl giving you those pigtail type of feel.
Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, we'll get Jerry out of there.
This is not a good link.
What's happening is it's the same idea, everybody. Using that paper as an emotional moment to try to pull out an emotion that's
Mhm.
happening. No matter what the, how would you say, the culture of the person is or the nationality, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. Then we can show you, all right, you got that one right. And now we can transition into animal modes. You see, and this is where we can switch material. Now you can go from in a different colored piece of paper at that point. Or it can just be white paper. So this one is going to be, the squirrel is going to be on newsprint. You see that guy, that's a different tone than what we were using. But then look at how the tones still work the same on that sandy brown newsprint paper. You see it or no?
I do. That's super cool.
And now you can see the differences there, but it's the same idea with animals, everybody. Line, shape, form, light, surface. Achromatic scene, I'm dealing with just chalk and charcoal. Then it's a graphic image, it's achromatic. I'm just dealing with the lights and darks. Sometimes using the paper to be a middle tone. You see, what if I just worked on white paper with graphite, like how we were doing at one point? And we were doing animals too. Everybody remembers these scenes, you know. And this is when we were doing our Ram series.
Oh, yeah, the Ram series was, that was fun, y'all. Look at that.
When you look at that Ram, it's all done in graphite, and then there's no white chalk on that one, everybody. That one's done from using the eraser.
Mm-hmm.
So erasing with your marker and controlling the vibrations and the values of the graphite being put down.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I say if you do line, shape, form, light, surface, doesn't matter. You can do anything you want.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that are you going to observe it? Are you going to utilize what your experience was?
And
You know,
here's a classic example of the comparison of creating graphite on white paper in comparison or newsprint in comparison to the different tone.
Yeah, but now you have to be talking about chalk, the differences between charcoal and graphite.
Okay, so the left is, the squirrel is, charcoal.
Yeah, everything you just saw was charcoal and chalk, no
Mhm,
graphite. That's just
mhm,
charcoal and chalk on paper. Same
mhm,
thing for the news. And when you go to the white paper, it's I found it to be better to use the graphite because you can get more dramatic and subtle tones.
mhm,
You do the same thing with graphite. It works the same. I mean, with charcoal, it works the same way with your
mhm.
eraser. It's just that I like the smoothness and the silkiness of graphite. I like the way it moves on the paper, so that I can get those nice subtle effects to make you feel like something is there that's not there.
Mhm.
The whole mission of the artist, I got to give you something on a flat piece of paper that's not really there to excite your human senses.
Right.
If I don't excite your senses, then I don't make anything.
Yeah.
I don't, don't make rent. Ask any artist, Then you hear people saying something sentimental, but it's you really got to look at it. We're in a capitalistic society, and it's all about product. So if you are able to produce things, then that makes it so you have to create. Okay, that's a product. Then
Mhm.
you're supposed to sell it in our society.
Yeah.
That whole thing about being emotional and how can you not sell it, then okay, then you're saying you're making money some other way, or you have a trust fund that's able to take care of your expenses year to year. Something is going on that you're able to say that, I don't have to put any pressure on these pieces to make anything. If so, that's great. But literally speaking, that's the artist's lifestyle. That's the artist's job, is to make things for other human beings to react to. What's the cinema all about?
Yeah.
Swashing lights together and putting it on film, or now not even putting it on film, just leaving it in the light realm, the digital realm.
In the light realm. Yeah. Yeah, that's
It,
and social media, you
yeah,
know, creating the short reels and everything. It's, you know, it's living there.
yeah, then you can flip it and do what I call figurative expressive once again, which means that what? That means that you can come in and you can use a human being's face with free floating gestural movements to say
Mhm.
what's going on.
Wow.
That's another one with just graphite and the eraser and a little bit of charcoal in that one to get that
Mhm.
roughness into it. So the
Mhm.
different materials are going to give you a different feeling based upon how they move across the surface. That's why certain artists use certain materials, because it's giving you a certain effect.
Mhm.
The difference between charcoal and graphite on the surface, I'm using both on this one. The darker
Mhm.
areas is the charcoal, and the lighter areas are the graphite, and then the highlights is all eraser marks.
Mm.
But then you can see how I'm using a gestural movement, a gestural idea, a loose and free movement to describe something. Sound going in and out of the ears, vibrations going in and out. See the looseness of his shoulders, just dark lines over there to say that, to make you believe that he got on a black or dark colored shirt. Look at how I'm using the eraser marks to make you feel like that face is really formal. It has some type of, form. It's moving a certain way, but it's on a flat piece of paper. Let's look at it again. When you go back to the whole historical idea and the impression of what people have made upon you and why you should do, or if you should do, anytime you do them, you're guaranteed some type of attention or some type of reverence or some type of notice. You know, when I do that right there,
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
yeah, you see, this is what I'm saying. And then once you're able to do it, not because you're using a grid and everything, nothing against that, but when you're able to do it freehand. You just move because you thought about it in that instant. Oh, I want to do Martin Luther King. And you just go with it. Boom, bang.
Mm-hmm.
You're smudging, you're rubbing, you're erasing, smudging, rubbing, and erasing, applying, relieving, applying, relieving. Here are all the concepts that's being used that you don't think about them as concepts, but you're using them. It's of the everyday. If I don't put a mark down, manipulate the mark, then distort the mark, then I'm gonna get you to think that Martin Luther King is there.
Yeah, how?
Right. You know, I'm gonna make you see that he's an African American. How this individual can be a mixture of two individuals. Is he Hispanic? What is he? You see, you have all these beautiful things out here that you can take advantage of and do artwork based on. The only
Mm.
problem is who's going to pay you for it. So that you
Mm.
can, that's when you have to pay attention to what attracts a human being. So you're only going to do, you know, anybody that's popular, basically, to start off. You know, if I do a Michael Jackson, and that Michael Jackson looks really like Michael Jackson, then all the people that has certain economics in your area may want you to do a portrait based upon seeing that you, and heck, you can do Michael Jackson like that. I wonder what he can do with me.
Right?
But that's what happens. And then that's how you formulate an idea of making a living with it based upon attraction.
Mm-hmm.
So then how many portraits have I done outside of this that this attracted people to it? To my skill to be able to add that to, yes, I can do portraits too. So then I can go from portraits to figurative expressive to animal portraits and animal drawings to totally abstract pieces. Somebody said, and I said, okay, then, you know, so what's this right here then?
Woo.
So then that's the other part of what it is that I say. I'm a believer of variety.
Mm.
And if you have variety, then that means that you have a limitless idea of what it is that you can offer. You know, and then the more you know about materials, after you get your idea and your manipulation of understanding of the obligation hand in eye, and there's nothing that you can't do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's all about who's going to accept what you do. You know, that's all it is. Graphite drawings, charcoal drawings, animal drawings, doesn't matter. Oil painting, acrylic, marker, pro quill, ink, doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Brushes, paint markers, doesn't matter. Eraser board, chalkboard, chalk on the floor, chalk on the wall, aerosol on the wall, doesn't matter. The school's going to appreciate you doing that task enough to be able to say, yeah, I want that person right there to do that for me.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, I want that guy to do this because he's one of the best in that supposed area.
Mm-hmm.
You know, however you look at it, you got to be able to attract the human eye and know what it takes. And if you take the suggestion of line, shape, form, light, and surface, with any material in your hand, you'll see it.
Yeah.
You'll be able to do it. No problem. You'll be able to go from what I just showed you with the charcoals, and then you'll be able to go straight to an idea like this.
Wow.
Straight abstraction, all about lines, shapes, and color blends to get an emotion. You know, yeah, yeah. So it's an endless amount of things you can do. It's just what it is that you want to do is the issue. That's why we challenge you here and let's sing and draw along each week when we can. So that in hopes of you getting to either where I just showed you that abstraction, or you want to go for a total objective idea or a point in between. You know, your figurative, expressive. These are all real modalities in the idea of the American art scene, or the world art scene, or the world art history at that point. That's why you name certain artists and certain movements. You don't name them, you know, for no reason. You name them because they made an impact in their society where they're at, and then that impact extended across to over into our society.
Right.
So if it didn't impact a couple of tribes on the planet, then is it worthy to be noticed? I mean, in us talking this way, you can start to see how some of the arrogance comes out in the art world, because everybody, after the 1600s, everybody was trying to be an elitist, basically, or be part of the elite, the bourgeoisie said.
You had to be a certain pedigree.
Yeah. And then most of your work was observing the everyday, which would be peasant life at that point.
Yeah.
Peasant life just below the proletariat. Idea. Let me see. And then when you look into all of that, you see certain things too as well. But it's all based upon the movement of art and how art permeates and guides us a culture. You know, art is everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Think about it, you wouldn't have none of the posters in Europe that you have if you didn't have the Impressionists and some of the artists that was in those movements did the graphic designs to do what? Bottom line. Everybody thinks Andy Warhol didn't draw, and so they do research and find out in his earlier years he was a pre-press worker in the printing world. And he got real well known for doing drawings. And he had a line that he invented called, I think it's the relief line.
Relief line?
Yeah, relief drawing. Not relief drawing, but a relief line, whereas he would draw it, and then after he would draw it, he would do a rubbing of it on another piece of paper to get this eerie type of itchy, scratchy line. And that's what Andy Warhol, if you look in the earlier days in the fashion worlds around about the 60s, early 60s, mid 60s, going into the 70s, you'll start seeing those drawings of Macy's shoes and things like that in the Inquirer and in the Daily News. Well, most of those, if you look into it, were Andy Warhol's drawings. That's how he made a name for himself. He even had his mother doing a couple of drawings of him too as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And that was at that time. But yeah, you know, this is, you know, it's all about entertaining the next human being next to you. I'm going to depict something to make you feel that sunrise. Because everybody sees the sunrise and has an emotion over it. So then if I do a painting of the sunrise, can I make other human beings connect to it to feel the same feeling? Or to make them evoke that feeling within them when they see those swashes of paint? You know, I'm mixing this charcoal together in hopes for you to see Martin Luther King. Other than that, it's just a bunch of smushes of carbon on a page. You know, and outside of that, you can see where a lot of arrogance comes in, or an egoism come in, because now you're looking at it as a skill and as a trade, rightfully so, because if I don't do a drawing right like that, how could it turn out right in the magazine or the book? That's what leads into dry point, etching, you know what I mean, lithography, duotones, and all these other different printing processes that has a manipulation of line too and tonality too as well.
which is actually kind of fun. I did a couple classes with that years ago, etching and wood block printing too. I actually enjoyed wood block printing.
Yeah, you can do that now with linoleum. You go to Home Depot or Lowe's, you buy the linoleum and you get the cutting tools. You can buy them right at Home Depot.
Mm-hmm.
The same little chisels that you can buy from there, inexpensive. Or you can go back over to Michael's or Dick Blick or one of the other art subscribers, and then you can buy the other chisels for that idea of doing mono printing or printing or lino cut as they call it on
Final
the
cut. Yeah.
chisel.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can do dry points too as well. You can take gouache and put that on 140-pound at least watercolor paper, and then you can draw with a penny if you want or with a nickel, because that would be dry point joining, where you use a piece of metal or something on a covered surface to leave metal rubbings behind.
See, I've
That's
never
actually
done that yet.
dry point. That's another easy one. That's just dry point. You're just covering the page with not acrylic but gouache.
Mm-hmm.
A matte surface idea that when you draw on top of it with the metal, it leaves residue behind.
Mm-hmm.
And then over time, because of moisture in the environment, depending upon what material you use, you get a reddish color or a greenish color and things like this.
Mm-hmm.
The whole essence is of a dry point drawing.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times, smaller drawings too.
Mm-hmm.
And they look like etchings, but it's a dry point, or you use a stylus, a silver stylus or a copper stylus to draw thin, mechanical looking like lines or sketchy like lines
Mm-hmm.
on this pigmented surface to leave the metal rubbings behind as you run the metal piece, the stylus across the surface. Sometimes they would use all three metals. They would use copper, silver, and even gold too as well.
Mm-hmm.
You can get those little dowel styluses from jewelers and stuff like that. And then now you can put those in a little metal hand holder, or you can just put tape on it if you want to. And you would draw with that.
Mm-hmm.
You would have a scratching material, and then you would put tar on a piece of metal, and then you would scratch into that. Then you would apply acid on top. The acid doesn't eat the tar, it eats whatever you scratch through to leave that embellishment on the metal, and then you wash
Mm-hmm.
off the tar, and then now you have an etching plate
Mm-hmm.
or a lithographic plate.
Mm-hmm.
Now they use different types of plates where you don't even have to touch it now. You could put it in the machine develops the metal plate and everything and takes it all the way down to the printing press,
Mm-hmm.
printing. And then now they got even better methods than that, where you don't even have to have a whole crew of printmakers no more to print this stuff out now to the masses. Now they're just doing what? Ebooks and this and that.
Yeah.
So, you know, yeah. But it still comes from the understanding of manipulation of light, line or edge, shape
Shape,
and form,
form,
light and surface,
surface.
all or
Mm-hmm.
tonality, texture.
Mm-hmm.
See? So you can go edge, you can go circumference,
Mm-hmm.
you can go depth or
Mm-hmm.
breadth, you can go tonality, and then you can go texture. Those are all
Mm-hmm.
derivatives of what we just talked about.
Right.
There's a whole bunch of things that go through that. We've done that with the marker, whereas if you're just doing a line, then how are you going to make us believe different densities of light then, based
Mm-hmm.
upon the accumulation or the non-accumulation of strokes?
Mm-hmm.
Cross-hatching and things like this. If it's a linear equation, just a line. But if
Mm-hmm.
it's line and totality, you see the beauty of it. And then
Right.
now you can use the negative idea, which would be the subtraction, which would be your eraser.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And you can see in the other ones where I still use the eraser in those two as well, but the white was as a final like high highlight to show how
Mm-hmm.
the light is moving, overall light is moving in that atmosphere.
Right.
If we look at our something from nothing, we barely really talked about the light source and how that light will move around and how you can utilize that light to garner interest.
Right. Just barely. We did a little bit when you were saying I don't know if it was the last I think we did start with that.
No, I just talked about how you can use lines and different lines to show a ESSer type of effect, to show
Mhm.
depth. There is no depth there. To
Yeah.
show calamity and confusion, or how would you say, a very energetic design based
Oh,
upon
yeah.
thinking
Here's
about. So
one.
we, yeah, so we put a couple of lines here and there to show, you know what I mean, that okay, the pencil is behind this,
Yeah.
or this is behind that. You see
Mhm.
what happened?
I just pulled up one, Don.
All right. Well, I wasn't looking at the screen, but then here's this one here. That's the one we did last week.
Yeah.
See, and then now that's all you do. You're putting the darks and lights at certain edges, and then it starts feeling like we're going in or coming out of the piece
Hmm.
based upon perceived light movement. So all you're doing is you're looking at how light moves in the atmosphere around you to make you feel like something is going away from you or coming towards you. And you mimic that movement by putting shadows based upon overlaps.
Hmm.
So if you was to take pencils and stuff and lay those down on a table and then look at the shadowing or the lighting effect or the surface idea, that's just using one of the ideas. I didn't show how the light, I didn't say, let's show how light moves across the surface to show how there's texture there. Nope. We just said, hey, let's show a difference in light source so we can show the depth or things feeling like they're floating or moving in space. We're implying the idea. That's implied at that point.
Hey, Don, I was inspired by last Sunday. So while I was here at at my aunt's house, um, I did this one. I looked around to see all the stuff that I could see in the room, and then I started adding stuff
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
background to give the idea of it just floating in space.
Yeah. That's
So,
what you do. But
so
it's
this
based upon understanding the atmosphere and understanding how things accumulate or how things move in space.
and the
How
other
does
thing,
light
which was definitely came from your guidance, was I would draw a couple and then I would turn it. Let's see, turn
right?
it, do some
Mm-hmm.
more, and then turn it and draw some
Yep.
more, and turn it,
Mm-hmm.
draw some more. So,
Yep. Until you get something that's intriguing to you and then you found something and now you bring that idea back out now by
mhm,
using that idea of what we talked about as far as tonality and light and surface is concerned.
mhm. And this
So
one
that's
I
what you,
didn't use pencil. It was all Sharpie marker.
that's the way you do it. You see how
Mhm,
easy that is? Just
mhm,
nobody's saying right and wrong. You putting it in as you see it, and then you're
mhm,
using a certain idea or template to bring more interest out in you. Turn
mhm.
it, found another space, put something in there, turn it again, fill up all those spaces. So it's beautiful. You got the clock in there, sunglasses, all that good stuff.
Yeah,
Markers, light, a light bulb, you know what I mean?
right.
Like a little test light or something like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
that's
so
all in
mhm.
your aunt's house.
Yeah, that was all in the den. And the thing is that is just from that was just it came out from our series of something from nothing. I was like, okay, I'm here, house sitting. I've done pretty much everything. Why don't I do a something from nothing? And so I sat down and I just looked around and then I just start drawing. And it's not exact, but there were a lot of older style lamps and things like that. The clock is
Yeah,
actually,
you get ornate designs on them where we don't take that. We're all about simplicity now. You
yeah,
know, but you have those ornate things in it that shows us our past. You see what
yes,
I
like
mean?
my grandfather. Well, this originally was my grandparents' house. And so my grandfather, this clock, he would go and he would have to wind it. when it's a military, there's more involved. It's like on a wooden board, I guess, and it's hanging up. But I always remembered this one from my childhood that it was around, and there's a couple other ones like this I was going to do. But um, so there's the past in terms of time, and then down here, this is a Roku remote. So from here all the way to all these older type things and just playing around with it. Even to put a kettle in there.
Like, say, for instance, if you were to just take the clock as a study, since you
Yeah.
said it was military. So then what would you do? You would just take different forms or different positions of what that clock is and set it up on the page different ways. Maybe play with the notion of what time is by pulling the numbers out
Oh.
and doing how would you say what's his name again? With time slipping away and all of that good stuff like that. Uh, well, because I can't remember his name right now, but a surrealist, yeah, it's surrealist art. So
Okay.
what if we could take the clock, right? Let's see, let me move this stuff out the way.
Okay.
And say, for instance, you were to take the idea of time, the way you were talking about,
Mm.
and we wanted to take that idea of time and that clock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Say, for instance, I just took the circle that you had there. Oh, that thing's fine. All right, let's see if these work better. There we go. So then I take the circle for the clock,
Mm-hmm.
all right? And there's another circle there possibly, all right? Then there may be some type of ornate design there, see?
Mm-hmm.
See what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
Then maybe, because I've seen clocks like that that have an ornate design on it. And then it may have the chains on it from the cuckoo clock type of eye,
Mm-hmm.
where it has the lead weights on there, you see? Yeah. And then maybe you take and you want to do something else where you move that over now. And you do it another way now. And then take the clock and then bend it a little bit. See what I did?
Oh, okay.
And it may take the weights and then turn the weights upside down now.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe put one going behind and then coming out the top of this one. And now you can see the weight idea on the end of those. See what starts to happen?
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
I put 12 here, but then I put 12 on the side here. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 6 here, but then maybe I'll put 6 down here now.
Mm.
See what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
If I do another one on this side, right? And then make the same type of oval idea, right? You see that?
Mm-hmm.
Now 12 can be over here.
Mm-hmm.
And then now these weights can come out and look like they're down here some type of way. Maybe sneak that one behind now. You see?
Mm-hmm.
So then now you can play with the numbers over here. You can put 6 out here then. So maybe this one will be the real one that's together, and then 3 can be down here. You see? The hand over here can bend down. This one right here can be the proper one. Let's say if we're saying it's what time is it right now?
7:43.
All right. So then we'll put the little hand here and then put the long hand right here the proper way like that. But then this would be 9 at the 45 point. You see? So then now I can take 9, put it down next to 6. You see how it starts to make some eerie language starts to happen? Like, why would you put that there?
Right.
All right, just seems like regular time. But then what is he saying here? Now, I can say time is reversed. I can put a 7 here. See what starts to happen?
Yeah.
A certain psychology starts to happen. Why? Because we're playing with the notion of time.
Mm-hmm.
We're playing with what all human beings have seen in the tribe, some type of clock with weights on it. The only ones that probably haven't seen it is all the new people after 2005.
True. Unless they went to a museum or something, and there was a
Museum,
grandfather clock.
or they have parents that have these items in their house. Because I know I had one. So when little cousins would come over, they would love to hear the clock make the noise, dong,
Mm.
dong. So they had the experience of a grandmother clock, as my mom used to call it.
Grandmother clock, yeah.
Yeah, that was her clock from her retiring from Citibank, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's what they give you, that. And she had a Rolex watch, a little small one she got from Citibank for retiring.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the
Wow.
only way you can have that experience with a clock, a grandfather clock at that point. And a
Mm-hmm.
cuckoo clock. You have a family member that likes that type of stuff. Because I had a cuckoo clock at one point because of my Aunt Annie. She had a cuckoo clock. So I always wanted a cuckoo clock that worked, that had the bird come out and go cuckoo, cuckoo, and then goes back. Makes the noise for whatever hour it is. So it's 3 o'clock, it's 7 o'clock, yeah, cuckoo, cuckoo, 7 times, and then go back into the house.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, other than that, if the person doesn't have nostalgia like that, then no, they're not gonna have that type of experience to understand what a cuckoo clock is and what's the purposes of it, and what's the nostalgia and the history and the love of a cuckoo clock at that point. Or even to see a clock that has things underneath of it, even a pendulum one, because I didn't even put, some of them will just have the weights and no pendulum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
And then some of them will have the pendulum and the weights in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And the clock moving and going. Then you would have a little crank that you would have a little crank key that you would have to crank it to crank those weights back up, and then it would keep on going. Yeah. So what are some other things you can do with this, basic idea of the clocks and strings? Just taking the idea. You can take the actual clock, since you have the actual clock in your atmosphere, and just sit to the side of it, draw it from that angle. Then
Mm.
draw it from another, then draw it from an angle like you're looking up at it. And then
Okay.
try to make all of those connect some type of way to make a piece or make a statement about time.
Mm-hmm.
And each clock can show a representation of what the time is while you're doing it.
Ooh.
You see how that came from nothing, but it came from
Mm-hmm.
something else?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how this really works, everybody. From a simple conversation, Nadine made comment to her to her experience in her aunt's and her grandfather and grandmother's house living room that she's house sitting right now.
Mm-hmm.
She loved the experience of the clock. She made mention of the clock 3 times. So then I pulled out the mention of the clock even more to use it as a piece for something from nothing idea. This is how fast it can work, everybody. Now you take that idea from Nadine's thought of just doing the room from her first one. Just doing the room because she's there and all right. Let me look around Auntie's room and see what I can. And you did a drawing of it. Out of
Mm-hmm.
that drawing, we pulled the conversation about time and clocks.
Yeah.
And now without looking at, you know what I mean, what particular shape of clock you had, I just went from understanding what those type of clocks are and what they would look like if it didn't have the whole box to it. an
Mhm.
upright unit was hanging from the wall, and it'll have some type of ornate design to it.
I mean, even what you did on the board, on the whiteboard, it it could just be a line drawing, and it could be so many different. It could you could go so many different ways with this concept.
Yeah, that's why I bring them out and I use them to try to get some more attention from the crowd, so they
Hmm.
can understand that nothing is really something, but it's really perceived as nothing.
Hmm.
You know. So I say, you always get something. I mean, you always make something from what appears nothing, but is absolutely something. Because if your experiences and your movement through space is nothing, then I don't. It's nothing too much I can say to you. You believe your existence is nothing,
And it can't be nothing because you're here. You're
right? But
matter.
if you believe it's nothing, that's your right to believe it's nothing. I can't do anything about that. Honestly, that's the way you save yourself if you're over 50 crowd at that point,
Hmm.
and even under, you still save yourself in that way. Yeah. I know that's rough business, everybody, but that's the reality of our existence. Wouldn't you say?
I would. I agree. I definitely agree. And I just keep looking at what you put on the whiteboard. I'm looking at mine, but I'm thinking I need a little more work. But I just did it so that I.
Only thing that I did was I took the chance to say, okay, there's order time, right?
Mhm.
And then we have time that slips away, time that gets disconjointed, time seems discombobbled. So I can mix up the numbers just to get that
Mhm.
idea to go. I could have put the 6 in front of the 9 to make it look like the Pisces things. You see what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, we can talk about the whole idea of demon time and all that good stuff, and why does everything amount up to 9 when you count them together? Yeah, 6 and 12, and all this good stuff like that. Yeah, 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 yeah. But generally speaking, if you look at time and what we say
Mhm.
time is nothing more than what? The charting of movement.
Mhm.
That's it. That's all it is. The sun went from there to there. That means that time elapsed.
Right.
You know?
Moment will never come back.
It'll come back, but it won't be the same.
It won't be the same. Each
One
moment is
o'clock.
different.
There you go. Because 1 o'clock today is not going to be the same 1 o'clock tomorrow.
For sure. For sure.
The wind's not going to be the same. The sky's not going to be the same. Clouds are not going to be the same.
Mhm.
Even if it's still a rainy, stormy day, it's still not the same type of rainy, stormy day.
Mhm.
These are the small things that everybody says insignificant. But when you really look at it and observe, it's very significant to take these things into consideration, especially when you're creating,
Mhm.
because this is where your ideas come from.
Mhm.
Somebody else might look at this and say, "Oh, are those the 3 different time zones?" You see what I'm saying?
Oh, it could be.
That's what I'm saying to you. You
Yep, it
know,
could be. It
what if I
definitely.
start different nomenclatures of time? Like, okay, what if I put, hmm, that's 1200, but then 1 o'clock would be what? 1300 hours. So I can put 13 out there,
Oh, yeah.
right? Come on, let's talk about it.
And 13 is 13 a good number? You can start thinking about there's so
Well,
many.
but when we talk in military and I put 13 there, that means that's 1 o'clock.
Right. Yep. Or 1300.
1300 hours.
Yep.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Then I can mess with you. I can say We can go down here and go 1330.
Mm.
You
Yep.
know?
Yeah, that messes with you.
But yeah, why you got 1330 there?
Hmm.
And somebody that maybe in communications, I'm say, oh, that's that Zulu time, I think, that Zulu stuff.
Right.
The military time, man, 1,300 hours, 1,800 hours, right?
Yep, I put 0, 0, 0, 0.
Yep. And what would that be?
Yeah, what is it in terms of time? It's nothing.
It's nothing, yeah, but it's definitely an origin. So where
Yeah,
would that 000 be? Right before midnight,
right before midnight. Yep,
because everything has to flip
yep,
to the 12.
yep. Isn't that deep?
Yeah.
That's
Or,
deep.
then you have 800 hours and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The 8 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Anything after the afternoon, 12 p.m. is 13, you know what I mean? So on and so forth. 1,800 hours, 1,900 hours. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You back here in 1930, at 1905, at 1933, 35, not 19. I need you here 1930.
1930, 7:30.
Yeah, you better know it.
It
You
depends where
know?
you work, if it's on military time or not.
Yeah. Like you really can mess with your kids if you wanted to. So I need you
1500.
back.
You better be at home at 1500.
Gotta be. Hey, I better not have to look for you. They trying to figure out when it's 1500. You know what I mean?
What is a 1500?
Why can't they
Thank
just tell me
goodness.
regular time? Yeah, no, I don't want to tell you regular time. I need you to be observant,
Mm-hmm.
pay attention, to be focused. Because that's another issue in our era right now because you got so many things to get your attention. It's a focus issue.
Yeah.
That's why they say you have adult ADD. Ah, it's got a focus issue. That's all.
Yeah.
You can't concentrate and focus well. Things
Mhm.
grab your attention too.
Yeah.
You like
You're like,
how
what?
you like how a pit bull is. I can be locked into you, and all of a sudden a butterfly comes from nowhere. Like, oh
You
look, a
want to,
butterfly.
and you want to catch it.
Oh look, a butterfly. Let me catch the butterfly. Yeah.
Ooh, a
You
bug,
want that problem.
protein.
Yeah. Too much.
Dogs like bugs.
I know, but what I'm saying, if you're in attack mode to get an assailant out the house, and all of a sudden that's all it takes
It's
is a
just a bug.
cockroach running on the wall to get your attention thrown off.
Yeah.
That's what happens. So you can be worrying about building, and all of a sudden you hear a song and you just start dancing and forget about paying bills.
Yeah, and all it does is it just takes that one song where you're like, "Oh, my song,"
Yeah,
and then you've forgotten what you were doing.
yeah. See, what else can we do? We can jumble up the time on the clock here. There's a 7 there. I can put all right, we got 6 down there off this clock, and then look, I can put 3 over here. Then
Mm,
what kind of clock is that? What is he trying to say about time? Who knows? You can make up your own idea. You can put a 4 there, like you're saying it's a quarter time or something. I don't know.
mm-hmm.
These are things that we would do.
Should have done this one.
Yeah. Put the 5 upside down. You know. Let's see, on this one, we can put the 2 upside down.
Uh-oh, my Sharpie is dying.
Yeah, buddy. A bunch of those.
I only grabbed a few. I have my little travel pack,
Mhm.
and
Side there. Yeah.
I didn't
So
grab an
you
extra.
had fun.
Oh,
You didn't
yeah.
even put a commemoration to your aunt there. What was her favorite numbers, or what was her favorite spot in the living room? You know what I mean? In that room, or what was her favorite item? You know, this is where you can have fun with it. You know, write names in and stuff.
Well,
What
her, her,
you can circle that to put emphasis on it, because a lot of times, let's see, I'll put a circle here at the 7th spot. What does that mean? You know what I mean?
mhm.
You know, or maybe I should leave that out of there, right? And then put that over here on the outside.
Oh,
Because what would that mean about time at that point?
time is falling away.
Yeah, but then time has a selective zone. What zone
Good,
is that? What
right?
time of the day is that on the outside of the clock itself? Is it in sync with time? What type of time is that? Is that another power zone, or what's going on?
Or
Why
a
is that?
different frequency, a,
He
a,
splits in a clock in half. See what I'm saying?
a different plane,
Right.
dimension.
There you go. Are these two different dimensions, and then this is our dimension? So these are two dimensions off of our third dimension. These are all ideas that can come out. Look, and all you did was show us a picture of you having fun doing a picture of your aunts and your grandparents' living room,
Yep.
items in that living room,
Just
using that idea.
using something from nothing idea.
Right. So the something this time was your experience in your grandparents' home, in their
Right.
living room, in our conversation about their clock, or their infatuation with clocks, your grandfather's infatuation with clocks.
Yep.
And then we just use that idea. That's it.
And a project was born.
That's just that quick and simple. If you use your everyday existence. Because if you use your everyday, then you could, do certain things that do a metamorphosis of time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the whole surrealist idea that we're trying to use in here. We turn a time position upside down like the 5.
Mm-hmm.
So are we saying that's 5 o'clock? Would that be 25 after? I don't know.
Right.
25 minutes turn. When we get to that point, we're going to be turned upside down. Think about how they would have coded messages.
Mm-hmm.
Because then now you would get into the idea of code breaking. So could I put a code in here? Yeah, you could put a code in there if you wanted to.
Morse code.
Yeah, well, Morse code is more so on the sound idea, right?
Yeah.
So then we could use an alphanumeric coding,
Yes.
whereby placement and utilization of certain symbols known and the positioning of it, it takes on another idea or thought that's coded.
Mm-hmm.
So then that's when you can slip in different types of language or different type of symbols from different languages.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
Yeah,
Symbols from
because
different language.
what if I took and we took the idea of using a basic symbol that everybody knows, all right, and I put it in this one here, and I put it right here at the top, money sign, right?
Oh yeah.
What happens if I turn it this way outside of here and I turn that money side on the side?
Hmm.
Could that mean at 5 o'clock I get my money?
Could be.
5 o'clock the end of my day? Or instead of it being 6 o'clock, it's money time.
It's money, 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 money.
See, think about the symbols that you could use. What could you call this as a piece? What could you call it as a series? The study of time, time in a new, digital time, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What if I put just a stream of ones and O's through here? Like, look, See what I did? The ones to
Mhm.
know. Binary idea. Binary code. Can you use that? Yeah, because then you can say, is that a time traveler? Why is that in there with all this regular time? You know, could I cross it out? Some of you, what would that mean? If I crossed
Mhm.
out some of that code. What if I crossed out 13? Would that mean somebody's dying at 1 o'clock?
Wow.
Is there going to be an endpoint at 1 o'clock? Right? Why
Mhm.
is 13 crossed out? And 1330 is there clear. You
Huh.
see?
Yeah.
What could that mean? You know what I mean? Based upon that rhythm of hit and miss, that crossing out of something. You know, Basquiat borrowed that from a bunch of poets and writers and used it very effectively in his pieces to garner your attention, to keep you perplexed, to keep you thinking, hey man, what is he trying to say? Why? What if I was to put, you know, EMC squared up here?
Ooh.
You know, what if I was to put an equation up here, T, meaning time, right?
Mhm.
E for your energy squared, and then I put equals, and I put C over here.
Wow.
What if I put the equation on how they study motion? What if I put the equation of the movement of the sun?
Ooh. And the fact that you did that, now we're talking about the sun, and then you crossed out the 13s, and then we're in a 12-month calendar instead of a 13, and we're talking about time.
Right? You see how it gets you all caught? And now you
Where are we
got,
going with this?
yeah, about motion and movement, time and your energy squared meeting creativity. So that's another motion equation, you know what I mean, about how energy is moving. What are some other equations that you can put there for energy moving? What about some of Tesla's equations based upon electromagnetism or
Wow.
the alternating current? Because that's movement and time is very important in electricity, isn't it?
Yes.
So you see how just talking about time and then now having a conversation about time, that's the something from nothing idea.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is the experience of you doing what you was doing. You was doing a drawing to connect with your grandparents' living room. Since you haven't been there in a while, you wanted to, look around the room and use an idea that we just used live. Use
Mm-hmm.
that idea, showed it to us. Yeah, this is the one I did. Wow, look at that. She got that big old clock in there. Yeah, you got to talking about the clock. And I was like, all
Mm-hmm.
right, sounds like a good enough notion to spin into something. What if we played with the idea of the clock to pull out a notion? Because remember, our whole idea from something from nothing is to start it from a conversation.
It
Because
sure.
isn't that how you thought to yourself, all right, since I'm here, let me do a drawing of grandparents grandmom's living room. You know what I mean? And all the
Mhm.
items that's important in there, right?
Right. Yeah, pretty much.
Off as a conversation itself.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes on from there. All right, let me put this clock in here. Let me see those pins. Oh, look, these pins that she used to like. Let me put these pins in there. Okay. Oh, look at the ornate stuff over here. Let me do some of that ornate movement over here. Yeah. Something from nothing. But then we all know now that the nothingness is really something because it's pooling from your experience.
Right.
You know, It's just that it's just like the idea that they say you have negative and positive space. No, all space is active, all space is filled.
Right.
You know, if it wasn't, then how are you able to breathe in the room?
Yeah.
Something's filling that space that, you know, it has to function with you. So that air is there.
Right.
Else you,
It's
if you
not
ever,
negative for
right,
sure.
if it was a void, you wouldn't be able to breathe. It'd be voidless. It'd be void without oxygen, hydrogen, and all
Hmm.
that stuff. Breathe in a room. Yep. Wouldn't be no carbon monoxide there or nothing there. It'd just be an empty void. And you
Hmm.
would, or you would be a creature that can breathe in the void. I don't know how that would work for you, but you would be breathing in the void some type of way.
I'm still stuck on the fact that there's no negative space.
Yeah, well, when you really look at it, you have to question yourself that I got it while I was in art school. I looked at it and other, you know, students was arguing with me. And I pulled the professor in the hallway after, you know, the session, you know what I mean? And he said, Don, you're on to something because you have dark matter and you have, you know, that positive matter that everybody wants to talk about, sunlight, but nobody understands dark matter. Nobody understands that we're not in a void or vacuum, that space is filled with everything.
Hmm.
So if space is filled with everything, is there really an active space? Well, metaphorically speaking,
Hmm.
but not technically.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, there's always something moving around you. If that's not the case, then how come sometimes you see particles falling off the ceiling in your face?
That's true.
Hard upstairs above
Yeah.
you, you
It's
know?
there.
Right. So then that's where I understood most of this stuff in art school. I'm talking about the high school aspect because that's when I was able to question it real good. Now,
Hmm.
would I come home and question my mom with it? I would try. She'd be like, boy, go on with that crazy thought. Now that's for your schooling now. And leave me alone, bro.
Leave me alone.
Yeah, I ain't ready to be talking and thinking that deep about, you know, air around me. I just know the air is there and then I take part in it. That's it. That's all I need to know. You see?
Hmm.
But then when you look deeper into it, then, you know, what does that mean? You're able to grasp from it more. Well,
Hmm.
that was my job being a young neophyte in art school, trade school at that point, because you're learning the world around you.
Right.
And how do I do you know, at that point it was like, well, how do I do a cloud? Where does a cloud come from?
Hmm.
You know, how do I draw rain? That was during that era. That was my freshman year in high school.
Hmm.
You see, oh, you draw rain, but then nah. When I was in there, I'm seeing people doing landscape drawings and stuff that's blowing my little mind.
Hmm.
So I back to my hole and said, okay, what am I seeing? How am I seeing the clouds? How do you really draw rain?
Yeah, how
Stood
do
on
you? Yeah.
just looking at clouds and got rain all on them. I was like, boy, if you don't get your butt in this house, get in here. What's wrong with you? I just wanted to see how thunder and lightning and rain really work. And she was like, if you don't get your boop boop in here, man, you're gonna have to deal with the lightning and thunder I'm gonna put down on your crazy behind. Get in here, man. So I was on the fire escape and did it like that on the fire escape one day.
Right.
But that was how my curiosity was once they opened me up with just one question. Is the space really empty around you or is something there? That's all the professor said. Everybody else was like, no, I don't care. I just want to do what I need to do to get an A and pass the class.
Right.
Me, I was like, wait a minute, he blew my whole world up. You mean there's something else there other than what I thought it was empty?
Hmm.
Everybody in the room got tired of me asking questions like, so if it's not empty, what's there? Air. Then how come I can't see the air?
Right.
Everybody thought I was so naive and retarded. No, that's a real honest question. Then why can't I see the air?
Mm.
Think about it, everybody, if you ever had that notion. I'm willing to put it out there. I wanted to know why we could not see air. If I can use it and it's there, and it's not empty space and I'm breathing, then what is air? how come I can't see? How come it's colorless? And
Mm,
it's tasty. That's what I
yeah,
got to. I can't taste it either, but I know it's there because if my lungs didn't move it around, what would happen to me?
yeah,
So it's these things, everybody, that you can get from something from nothing, because your nothing is your existence, is your experience, is the time and your space. Yeah, the movement. Time is nothing more than movement. And all of this came out just because Nadine is house sitting in Virginia, VIA. Yeah.
yeah.
And that's all to continue with number what, 13 or 14, and have something from nothing city.
This is 14, but actually I labeled it um something from nothing discussion.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. So we're mainly having a discussion about what that really means. And it was based upon our conversations that we were having ahead of time anyway. But that's still good because we still got an idea of something for nothing. We still had an interesting conversation about time and what that means and how you can extrapolate from an idea.
Mhm.
Think about it, everybody that's going to listen to it and watch the video. You don't have to do exactly what we did. You can just take the idea, the notion, the thought.
Just the notion.
Right. Because if your notion, or we all have a basic idea of what time is, but when
Mhm.
you're pondering and looking at the other possibilities of what time can be, I don't have experiences like you. So
Right.
you saying that time is moving forward fast may be what? It may be you taking, hold on, let me get my marker. I don't want to use the permanent marker. That's what I did the other day.
Oh no,
Uh,
you did?
yeah, you just use alcohol to get it off and a little bit of Windex, and then you can get it
Okay.
off. So if I wanted to say time was proceeding, I could either take this arm here and then move it forward as a dotting line, right?
Oh, nice.
See? Or if I was down here in my world down here and I wanted to say time was moving forward, then I would say 7 o'clock, and then over here somewhere, wherever I would put 8, I would put 8 and a check mark there.
Mm-hmm.
Then I would put an arrow and say, so if I put a circle around 7 and an arrow, it means it's moving. Am I moving forward in time? Well, it looks like I got the 7 on the left side and the arrow pointing to the right. Then yeah, I'm alluding towards the idea of linear time movement from left to right. Then you got it pointed there, but then I got the circle there and the check mark underneath the 8. So am I making a strong enough connection visually with the 7 pointing towards the 8 to give me a check mark to say we're moving towards 8 o'clock?
Oh, could be.
That's what I'm saying. These are all the opportunities you can have, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Make a symbol for dinner or something. When did you eat dinner in this whole equation? You can
Mm.
put a symbol for a sandwich or a spoon, or I can put a spoon around the 6. Well, I don't want to do it up here. Maybe I'll do a spoon around the 6.
Or the arm could be a spoon.
Sure, you can look at it that way, but I just put a spoon shape around the 6.
Mm-hmm.
That can denote towards I had something to eat that time, something that I had to eat with a spoon. I don't know.
Wow.
That's all metaphor now.
Mm-hmm.
Mythology. It's not allegory though, but it's
Amen.
symbolic metaphor. So see how these type of thoughts can slip into the piece just from that notion.
Yeah, so quickly too. You
Yeah,
just
because analyzing the idea of what time is to you.
mm-hmm.
You know, what time do you go to bed? See what I'm saying? What time did you take a nap? What would be a symbol for a nap?
Mm. Z's. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So any place you would put these, that would mean that you went to sleep. So if I put a Z towards 12 here, and I go a small Z and then start making them bigger,
Mm-hmm.
and have some fun and turn it to the side a little bit, then that means I possibly went to sleep 12 o'clock. But what part of 12 o'clock? Was it 12 p.m. or 12 a.m.?
Mm.
You know, they put the little apostrophe there. You see? So that 2 seems like it turned into a Z.
Mm-hmm.
Since you said, oh, okay, the Z's. The Z's represent, the metaphor of sleeping, snoozing, or daydreaming. You see all these thoughts that can come out just because we talked about an idea or thought from nothing. The
Mm-hmm.
nothing connection with your grandparents' house and you doing the house sitting.
Mm-hmm.
Then the aspect of, hey Don, I just wanted to do a drawing. And let me show you the drawing I did just based upon the notion that we had on something from nothing. And I did symbols or things based upon being in my grandparents' living room and what that meant to me. I haven't seen this stuff in a while and just wanted to do a nice drawing of it. Then we got stuck on talking about the clock and military time and stuff like that. And then that's when I just, there we go. That's our subject today, from something from nothing, pulling from
Mm-hmm.
Nate's experience. Once again, that's what you do anyway.
Right.
You did the same thing to be able to say, all right, I'm here. I'm at my grandparents' house. I haven't been here in a while. Let me draw the living room real quick, draw some things from the living room using the ideas from last week. Let me see if I can do that. And it started from just that conversation in your own head with yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's the same idea, everybody, that you would do. If you were sitting in a doctor's office, you would do the same thing. Oh, I haven't been in this doctor's office in a long while. Let me draw what I remember about this doctor's office. Let me draw the items that I remember, the magazines and this, that, and the other, and everything else, and have fun with it that way. Even if it's a stethoscope, the little
Needle.
pops, wooden sticks for the popsicle for your mouth, and all that good stuff. You can put mouths on there if you wanted to. You
Mm-hmm.
know, what if I'm having connection or physical connection with somebody? You can put lips kissing to say when you had connection with somebody, right?
Yeah. Or a heart.
Either which way, that denotes that you was with a partner.
Yep.
When I did this with other kids, with kids now, or people that was adjudicated youth, they drew condoms and things like this on there to say, but I couldn't, you know what I mean? I couldn't say no because I'm saying use your experience. So that's what happened when
Right.
I use this idea in that arena.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a bad thing? No. But it shows you how to get people to connect with the everyday, to use this type of idea, the art of the everyday, to bring some type of resolution, thought, idea, notion, or epiphany or observation of your everyday existence. Just look at the opportunities that you have there.
Yeah, there's so much opportunity with this. My goodness.
It's endless, and it's any one of the ones we've done thus far. If you look at any one of those, the opportunities is endless. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to state what we're doing. You can take the notion and apply it to other things. What time of the day do you drink coffee? What time of the day do you drink liquids or alcohol? You can put a shot glass there, put a shot glass upside down. What does that mean? You're done with drinking. You know what I mean?
Right.
Anytime you put a glass upside down of any type, that means you're done with any type of liquids.
Mm-hmm.
See what I'm saying? How these different connotations can come out?
Mm-hmm.
That's the beautiful part about it, man. That's what I try to show people and open up people on how you use your everyday, uh, uh, subjectively speaking and objectively speaking.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
What a journey.
and I'm telling you.
What a journey today, everybody.
Give me a second, real quick. I gotta rinse something off my hands. One of these markers exploded real quick. I'll be right back.
Uh-oh. That kind of stuff happens.
Well, that's
Markers
the marker,
will
man. Yeah,
explode.
it exploded in my hand. I didn't realize I probably sat on it and didn't know it when it was in my bag.
It's all good, everybody. So if you like what we talked about today, why don't you go ahead and give us a like? We really appreciate you. There's a couple things I wanted to tell you is that Don has a G.Page, which is G.Page / DonStephensArt. You can go over there, you can contact him, you can order products if you don't want to go on to the website, the Printify website, which the link is in the comment section. It's also in the chat of this video that you can go there. You can get t-shirts just like this one. Woo! If my eyes are open, it's on, plus much, much more. I kind of like that one. I like to wear that one. But there are a lot of different things that he has on the site. That's a great way to support us. A lot of people, maybe they're like, well, I can't really, afford, lessons or blah, blah, blah.
Get a
Um,
t-shirt.
it's, I'm telling you,
$25.
$5, you know,
25.
there's a lot of different ways that you can support. What we're trying to do here for everyone is to get you to create, to be more observant, and to not look at it as recreational, because we're creating every moment, every second of every day. That's the first thing. The second thing is that Don, he really, really shares a lot of things that you don't really hear from other artists. Mostly because he wants you to get excited about creating or get excited about the actual creation of the work that you're seeing there, and see how he got to where it was the final product. Um,
Mhm.
so, so definitely, definitely, definitely go over to his G.Page. You'll see some of his works. He's also on Instagram. He's on Facebook. I'm on Facebook because you're watching this maybe from Facebook. The link is there. We collab together to inspire you to create. And that's really what it's all about. So
Yeah.
you can help us definitely, definitely by liking this video, definitely by sharing this video, definitely by leaving a comment. That is
Absolutely
probably the
by
cheapest
subscribing.
way,
Absolutely by subscribing.
but subscribing is the thing. We want you to subscribe. And, there are different ways to subscribe. You can subscribe on the Facebook. You can subscribe, on Rumble. You can subscribe on our IG pages. You can subscribe. That means Don has one, I have one. We share our experiences, creative and the things that we're working on, but mostly to stay in contact with us. But subscription, we really appreciate you subscribing. So with that, I know Don, he usually has another student that's pounding at the door pretty soon.
No,
So,
no, this one is going to be online this time.
okay, he's going to be online, but the fact that he has people scheduled. So I want to be mindful of Don's time. Let's be mindful of Don's time, but don't forget to and reach out to him through his G.Page. And the holidays
Even
are coming up. The holidays are coming up. So buy t-shirts for your family. Get them excited about creating. It doesn't have to be this one. There's some really cool art that Don has created, and he's put them on bags. He's put them on t-shirts. That means you just go over to the Printify site, which is in the link in the description of our video. So Don,
scroll through, check it out, and see what how would you say can be on your palette. You know what I
okay,
mean? You checking
absolutely.
things the time, everybody.
So when you're thinking about what gift can I give somebody, check it out. I'm telling you, check it out. So with that in mind, Don, what is it we want them to do?
Keep creating.
Keep creating,
Yeah.
everybody. Keep creating. Be safe. Have a great evening. Have a great week. And the challenge, I posted the challenge in there. I want you to try it out. And that is playing with the notion of time. You do your own version. Thank you very much. I am Nadineo, and he is Don Stephens. Take care.
Peace.
Peace.